course, I'll wait for the notification. It says we're live, but I'll just wait until I get the...
we're live.
Yeah, just make sure it's communicating with YouTube.
Are you just doing YouTube or Facebook too?
This is just YouTube.
Got it.
And I'll tell you about that after the stream. You know why we just on YouTube on here. But okay. YouTube is live. Oh, I'm knocking stuff over off the table. This is that real natural stuff that we was talking about off the air when
exactly
this be happening on air. But we don't have anybody on yet, but they'll see it in the recording.
That's okay. The point is we are real people and real things people happen. Like we said we was gonna start at 7:11. It is 7:51.
Yeah, 8:51 over here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're starting for real this time. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Astoria Story. And now I like to say AKA cosmetology and cosmology.
I like it.
Yeah. Now that we're seeing that the spirituality and all things from up above, tends to seep into the show. It might as well be a part of the title now.
I like it. I'm gonna start using that hashtag on everything: cosmetology and cosmology. I love it.
Yep, especially for tonight. Yeah, especially for tonight's conversation. So before we get into that, you're looking well, Astoria. You're looking happy. You got the new hair. Who it is? You call it the mermaid look. How you feeling?
I feel good. I have started doing bike rides on our night. So I did, I think like 13 miles today. Nothing too crazy. Because I did 26 on Sunday. Or Saturday. I think it was Sunday. But either way, but I'm feeling good. I always feel good when I get my endorphins flowing and get a good workout. And when you're eating healthy and all that stuff like that. And it's been a good week. I'll put it that way. A good week so far. Happy hump day, y'all.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I hope that 26-mile bike ride was on Saturday, because that goes against the whole easy Sunday, easy like Sunday morning routine.
Well, here's the thing. I think that self-care is every day. I know that people have coined the tag self-care Sunday, and that's cool. But to me, a part of my self-care is being healthy and like working out, and I tell people all the time, I don't work out because I'm trying to look a certain way. I work out because it makes me feel good. Like, that's really why I work out. It has nothing to do with, ooh, I want to get these abs and ooh, I want to look like this. If that happens, cool. But it's mostly because it makes me feel really good and I'm productive. Most people like to work out in the morning. I am a midday evening workout person. I tried the workout morning time. It's not my friend. Like, once I get going, I'm good, but I got to get going. It's a lot.
Okay, yeah, I feel you. But we won't get too deep into that part of your self-care routine, because that's going to come in a later episode. Tonight we want to focus on the spiritual aspect of holistic health and your spiritual practices for your holistic health. But before we get into that, like we do as always, we like to recap this week's Money Monday show. So who was on there? Yeah, get excited. Yeah, who was on there? What was it about?
Who was on Money Mondays was my friend Thomas James this week. And so he is a barber, so third generation barber shop owner, but he also has a school, so he's an educator, and just writes curriculum and things like that. So we talked about, first of all, we went in, okay? We talked about what's going on in the current industry, the price of, schooling now versus when I went to school, and has it changed, post COVID? And then also we talked about products, and I think it's a missed opportunity for a lot of barbers and cosmetologists, esthetician, nail people, anybody in the beauty industry. It's a missed opportunity. So we talked about some tips and things to increase your income when it comes to that avenue. So definitely a good show. I definitely have to have him back because we had a good time. So we're planning something for probably around the holiday season, how to increase those ticket sales. You already got a lot of people in the chair anyway during the holiday season. So we'll probably make sure that he comes back for that. So yeah, Money Mondays, every Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Mostly always have a special guest. I do have a week where I won't have a special guest because I'll be out of town and I want to talk specifically, recap some things that's been happening. But other than that, yeah, that was Money Mondays.
Okay, so there you have it, Money Mondays. Make sure you tune in, check that out. If you missed this week's episode, it's still up there, so go back and watch that recording, and then look out for the next episode coming up next week on Monday.
And any of you guys that always are on YouTube, I'm actually going to transfer all the IG lives to YouTube on my YouTube channel, and I'll make sure that I share all the information too. So, because I know some people like YouTube versus IG, so we're going to just capture all of it and just go ahead and put it on YouTube. I mean, we got to do what we got to do.
Yep, there you go. There you go. So I'll actually include Astoria's YouTube link in the description of this video. So it'll be up by the time the recording is up for this. So look out for that. Subscribe to our channel. So last week we introduced the topic of holistic health. The title of this video is Your Holistic Health is Wealth.
Yes.
Yes, because we say your health is wealth, but health is indeed holistic. And when we talk about holistic health, we're talking about the interconnection between physical health, spiritual health, mental health, emotional health. How all those aspects of your health kind of weave together and they impact one another.
Yeah.
So last week, Astoria felt that it was necessary to start with discussing spiritual health as the most immediate aspect of your holistic health.
Yes.
So Astoria, why don't you go ahead and introduce that and talk about why spiritual health is so important?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, health is wealth in general. But a lot of times you can't heal what's physically happening until you heal the spiritual. And as a spiritual person, a holistic person, what happens on the spiritual realm also happens in the physical realm. And I think people forget that they are intertwined together. And so it's really important for you to focus on both. I always tell people to heal the spiritual side first because it'll transfer into what your everyday life is, what you physically see right here. So that peace of mind that people are looking for, the less stress, the actual pure joy when you see people that are completely happy all the time, like those kind of things. When you want to get to that point, you have to heal everything else that's going on in your mind. And so we have to kind of like start there so then we can begin to physically heal everything else that happened. And I kind of mentioned this last week. I said that before a disease happens in the body, it is a illness in your mind, whether that is stress related, whether that's depression. It's like an emotion. We'll put it that way. We'll say it's an emotion. It's an emotional energy. Stress, the anger, depression, all those things turn into disease in the body. And if you don't believe me, you don't have to believe me. You can go look at Dr. Sebi's stuff. You can go look at Queen of Food. You can follow any holistic doctor and they will tell you the exact same thing, which is why a lot of times people mix holistic medicine with modern medicine in order to heal themselves. Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of introduces that a little bit. of what we're going to go into. Specifically, I like to do Reiki. Reiki as a healing energy. And the reason why is because everything is made of energy. And Reiki is basically all powerful, universal energy. That's basically what it is. It's the use of all of the most powerful energy you can use. So transferring those emotions. We all have our chakras, our main 7 chakras that we know. Everyone heard of their chakras before, you know, the root chakra, sacral chakra, your throat chakra, your heart chakra, your third eye, crown chakra, all that stuff, right? But you also have smaller chakras and meridians that run through your body. So think of like your bloodstream, the way your blood flows. So you want the energy to always be flowing through your body in a positive way. And if there's a blockage, you want to remove that blockage. So for example, this is a great example of how something can turn into disease. So let's just say you're having an issue with your throat, right? So meaning like your throat chakra is clogged, the energy is blocking. One of the things that can cause your throat chakra to be blocked is you not saying what you should say, meaning like you bite your tongue, you hold back what you want to say, and think of doing that for years and years and years and years and years, right? Like you just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. You suppress everything. Now you created a big blockage here. This is when people have thyroid issues. This is your throat. These are the things that happen in this area. People get throat cancer, those types of things. That is literally disease manifesting in the body because of one simple thing, right? And disease can come in all forms. So I think it's very powerful that you can actually clear that with Reiki, clear that energy, clear that blockage so you don't create disease. Did that example make sense though?
Yeah. Yep, makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Try to make it real simple because I know it can be very broad and people that I won't say don't understand it. They are not exposed to it. It can be hard to grasp sometimes.
Right. That's definitely true. That's definitely true. So since Reiki is your choice or your go-to when it comes to spirituality, of course you utilize other avenues and vehicles, but Reiki is your go-to, your primary vehicle of spirituality. Let's
it's my primary vehicle for healing others. It's not the primary vehicle that I use for myself.
Okay, let's talk about that then. Yes, let's talk about that then. As far as what you use for yourself. So what other practices do you use in terms of your own spiritual health?
Well, meditation and yoga. And so I think a lot of times people get meditation confused with like silencing the mind. Like they're like, oh, I have to be super quiet and do this. And that's not necessarily true. Meditation is quieting yourself in order for you to listen to what's happening. It's almost like when you pray and what it is like when you pray and you're waiting for God to give you the answer. You know how we pray, but then we don't ever wait in that moment for God to give you the answer, or we don't ever sit still long enough to see if we're going to get an answer. We just pray and then we move on about our business. Meditation is literally sitting in that moment, allowing the thoughts to cross your mind and then choosing not to think that specific thought. So for example, if we were going to do a guided meditation, I would tell you to take some deep breaths in through the nose, out through your mouth. Really focus on the breath, focus on how your lungs expand, how they contract when you're going through. And so now you're transcending into a different mental headspace, right? So as you're doing that, you can continue to do your breaths, and then you allow the thoughts to cross your mind. So let's just say you think about what you were doing today. If that's a thought you choose not to think about, you just accept the thought and say, oh, that's not what I want to think about right now. I'm actually trying to focus on whatever I'm focusing on, right? And so that's truly what meditation is. It's literally allowing thoughts to flow through your mind and choosing not to listen to the noise, but to listen to the messages. Because there's lots of noise happening in our head all the time of what we did last week, what happened the other day, this right here, this, we're analyzing stuff. We're like all over the place, right? So it's quieting the mind, in order for you to kind of get that spiritual guidance. So that's what that I do meditations. And not, I used to do long meditations, but now it's in the morning. It's simple 5 to 10 minute meditations, right? Like literally just clearing my mind, getting my mind ready for the day. And maybe in the evening time, recapping the evening type of thing. So that's one. The other one is yoga. And I think people misconstrue yoga as like, ooh, we have to do all these amazing poses and stuff like that. And it's not that. You can do amazing poses because you stretch and your body is flexible. But it's really about accepting your body where it is, breathing through those muscles. Think of it as extreme stretching for your body. So my go-to in the morning is cat-cow poses. Like I literally do cat-cow poses and then shake my hips from side to side, downward dog, waking up my muscles, like literally waking up my body that's been asleep for a long time. And if I really want a good stretch where I'm really getting some poses, I'll go to hot yoga, which Bikram is no joke. It's you're going to sweat for real, but you get a good workout. And so those two things are like my basis for when I say holistic health with spirituality, because those are things that help you to release toxins in your body, help you to release mindless energy, anything that you don't necessarily need to be thinking about, kind of gets you focused on what the day ahead is or the evening. Or even if you are angry in the moment, meditate, taking a quick second to take a breath, like a quick meditative breath, it'll change your whole mindset of what you're doing. Somebody can make you angry, and with practice, you literally don't even feel the anger anymore. It's like, oh, you know what? That wasn't directed at me. They going through something. So let me just move past that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting that you mentioned those two, because those are a couple of the practice that I actually use as well. As a matter of fact, my school that I teach at actually reinstated the morning homeroom meditation sessions. So we actually formed a partnership with this organization called Sky, and they created an app here. So I downloaded the app. You know, they gave us a special code for our school, and the kids can download the app as well. But I actually play the guided meditation, you know, every morning, and they have different lengths. You know, there's, you know, short ones that are in between 3 to 5 minutes, and then longer ones that are like 7 to 10 minutes. So, you know, I just play one every day, and they pretty much frame the morning meditation for the schools as a way to you know, set your intentions for the day, what you want to accomplish, what do you want to focus on. It's also a silent start, you know, to unplug from, you know, the screen, because we are virtual, unplug from the screen and from the electronics, to have a moment to check in and tap into yourself. Yeah. So you know, that's something that I started to use. I even use it when I'm not in homeroom, when I'm not in school. I use it for myself.
That's
so
good.
I pull it back up, you know, you can see my statistics. You know, since the first day of school, I have 136 minutes of meditation. 25 sessions.
That's good. Yeah.
So so that's something I've been using. And also with meditation, before I got this app, you know, before this program was introduced to our school, we spoke about numerology in previous shows, and the numerology book actually has a section on meditation in which you meditate on your birth number. So So that kind of gives you like a starting point for something to focus on. Because like you said, Astoria, it's not so much of silencing everything and attempting to quote unquote clear your mind, but it's just giving you something to kind of focus on, setting attention on. So the numerology book tells you to focus on your birth number, and of course all the numbers have their different meanings, their various meanings, and they're associated with different attributes. So whatever energy your number carries, you kind of focus on that description and that goal. So for example, it'd be more clear if I give an example. So for as an example, my birth number adds up to a 4. So of course the number 4 is associated with organization, structure, and things of that nature. So for the description, for the meditation description in the book, it would tell the number 4 person to, envision or focus on divine organization. So just as the celestial beings in the sky have their placement in the organization, we as humans, we have our organization here on Earth, how we organize our lives and our surroundings. So it's it's an as above, so below kind of thinking. So that's an example of how the numerology works. Let's say your birthday adds up to a number 1. You envision yourself taking charge of your life and being a leader, in whatever capacity that may mean for you, because the number 1 is associated with leadership. It's associated with taking charge and being at the head of things. So I kind of use those 2 forms of meditation with the numbers and, with the guided meditations in the morning, setting an intention and the focus for the day.
Right.
Now I do yoga once a week on Saturdays. My yoga instructor and Yoda, we've been doing, since the summer started, we've been doing yoga in the park. Normally we do it indoors, but since the weather's been nice, we've been doing it in the park.
Beautiful.
So I see yoga actually crosses over, multiple, forms of health, because like you mentioned, Astoria, you get the stretching aspect of it. So that's the physical part, but you also get the spiritual aspect because you're incorporating the breath, doing meditation, and that breath is energy.
Yes.
Indeed. Now something else I forgot to mention, the breathing. That's a big part. Of course, the breathing is the major part of the meditation. I actually learned breathing techniques too from an affiliated organization that we got the meditation program from. So they actually taught us strategies such as the straw breath and the victory breath.
Fire breaths, all of those.
Oh, we didn't learn all those.
well, I'm with you because we use it in Reiki. It's the same thing. So different breaths associate different parts and activate different things. So if you think about a fire breath, so if you're doing a meditation, right, and you want to, so for me, for spiritually, I like to live in my highest self, and I try very hard to focus on my oversoul so that it can guide me. And so when I say oversoul, like that third eye, that mind, this part that's up here that is already speaking to you, right? So gaucho breaths, fire breaths is like a way of being, easiest way to say it without sounding crazy is like you're high. The euphoria you feel if you smoke or you do any type of whatever, right? You get a euphoria where you're taking yourself to a different level. fire breaths, because you're supposed to do 100 of them, it takes a lot for you to count them. But if you think and you do that 100 times, think about where your mental space goes. And so you go into a whole nother different head space as you're focusing. And those fire breaths can guide you to see something that you may not have thought that you, or what you were trying to figure out, right? Because now you're living up here in your oversoul. Or it might reach back to see those things that's in your cerebellum that you can't get out, right? Like you really trying to think about something and you just can't get it out because it's stored in the memory bank in the back, and sometimes it's not in the front of the memory bank. And so I love it. I love the meditation. I love that the school let y'all do it. It's so crazy that you said that, because when my niece was younger, the little one, I used to do yoga with her all the time. And you know what she would tell me? I feel so grounded to the earth, so in touch with nature. Wow. Like it makes me feel grounded. And now we're talking about an elementary school kid, right? Because they did yoga at school. So imagine if it was implemented in other schools, right? As part of the curriculum, part of the stress relieving of the day, part of how they either start or finish the day, what kind of stuff that would do for a kid. What do you think it really does for someone that grows up through it, or someone that's an adult that goes through it? Like it's absolutely amazing when you understand the benefits, or you receive the benefits of the meditation and the yoga, how it makes you feel. And that's one of the reasons why I love yoga. And I like to do yoga outside. I like to do yoga barefoot. I walk around barefoot, like outside. My mama talk about me all the time. People tell me I'm country, whatever. I don't care. If I could garden outside with no shoes on, without ants or anything biting me, I probably would. Because it's so like, you just feel one with nature. And as a life path number 8, right? So you could send me the meditation for that one. But 8 and infinities, like that's what I think about, because it's a never ending, right? I have it on my wrist. Like it's something that literally correlates with me all the time. So that means I'm constantly moving, constantly going. So I have to find time to ground myself so I can stop. Because if not, I'm just going to energize a bunny. Just keep moving. Never ending cycle of energy. Just always going. So I think that's awesome. I was going to say an app that I use, and I've been using for a long time, that I think the audience could definitely use right now. It's called Headspace. So I ain't making no money off of them. This ain't for me. It's for you. It's for y'all to have. But Headspace. And this year they did give away a free year. They have a free version, but they also have a subscription-based version. And the subscription-based version is free for a year for anybody that was affected by COVID. So that's everybody, basically. So you can do it free for a whole year. And the subscription base is not that much. It's worth your time. So I say you do it for a year. It'll track how many times you do your meditation. But what is also so cool about it, it'll tell you when there are a lot of people doing the live meditation. So let's just say it'll send you an alert and say there's a live meditation in 15 minutes, right? So you can join in and do a live meditation, a live guided meditation with like 100, 200, 1,000 other, like, however many people are on at that time. And I think that's like super dope that you can engage with, you can receive the energy flow of other people, because, when you do things together, you're all going to receive that same type of positive vibe, positive energy.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
You be on it.
Yeah. So those two types of breath, the victory breath, the star breath, and the third one that I that I learned that got me really deep into the meditative state was the Kriya breath.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one. That's the extended session right there, where when I get to the end of it, I'm ready to go into shavasana, like it's the end of yoga, and I'm finna fall asleep. but I can say, just speaking to the benefits of those practices, it's definitely put me in a better state of mind. It's definitely eased the anxiety. There's a difference in your headspace or your mind state when you're taking, short, shallow breaths versus, deep breaths. You can notice the difference. So it's definitely beneficial, and I use those in tandem with my other physical activity.
Right.
So I do the yoga, but I also do the running and non-yoga stretching and the weight training and all of that, and of course the eating healthy. So I use all those in tandem. So I guess Astoria, can you think of any specific instances from your life, that may not be too personal for you to share, in which you actually use these practices to heal something specific, that you were going through or suffering from?
The simplest thing, honestly, I heal myself every day. I told you earlier, I did 26 miles with Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it was. I did 13 today. And when I say my knee was hurting so bad, like my knee was hurting, I just send Reiki energy to my knee. And it stops, it heals it, And then I guess I've been practicing so long unintentionally that it just, not unintentionally, intentionally, but unintentionally. Like sometimes it just happens. I'm in a whole meditative state and I didn't even realize I was in a meditative state. It just happened. But I guess the most specific I can say is healing traumas, mental traumas that you don't realize that you have. So a perfect example is I am a workaholic. I will work, and never say no, and just keep working. But in actuality, that is a trauma from me watching someone else do the exact same thing and thinking that it is okay. Right. So we do things because we watch someone else do it, right? Whether that's a parent, a mentor, whatever, right? We learn as a kid or as we grow up from our experiences and the things around us. And so me healing myself was me learning to focus. So when I say self-care, it's me learning to say no and learning to focus on me and what feels good to me. So I went through this whole thing of, doing things on purpose. So it could be as simple as I won't pick up my phone in the morning on purpose. Or I take time now where for sometimes complete whole days, I won't answer my phone at all. I won't answer no text message, no Instagram, no Facebook, Messenger, email. I don't care what it is, right? And so healing myself was me spiritually meditating on what I really wanted, which was peace of mind. And so in order for me to have peace of mind, I have to shut things off and allow myself to relax, right? Peace of mind. I also want to be stress-free. Like I don't like to feel stressed. I don't like to have anxiety. So letting that go, allowing me to do yoga work, but also journaling. And a lot of people don't talk about journaling a lot, but journaling your feelings and your thoughts and watching yourself, how you grow. I have journals where I went back to 2018, 2017, when I first started my, journaling journey, I'll put it that way. And I'm like, dang, I wrote that. Gosh, how I heal myself? And it started by writing letters to yourself, like honestly having a conversation with my inner child, if that makes sense. Having a conversation, right? Allowing that to flow out, allowing yourself to talk about it. Because a lot of time people don't want to talk about what's really happening. So if you write it out, it makes it a little bit easier. So I would say that would be a trauma that I heal myself from. And I dip back from time to time. It's not complete. never ending process. But at least I know now when my body needs to stop, and I listen and I stop. I don't keep going and pushing through. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing anything today. Sorry.
Yeah.
I give myself permission to not do anything today. And that goes into the other one I would talk about is affirmation. So we talk about these spiritual things, but speaking to yourself, gosh, your words are so powerful. So powerful. Nick, I tell people all the time when they say, I'm trying. I'm like, no, you're doing. We're speaking indefinitely, right? It's not we're trying, we're doing.
Exactly.
And that simple little phrase of someone, it just triggers something in your brain. Like you psychologically turn into something else because you're like, oh, I am doing. And then you start appreciating the fact that you're doing it. And you can be like, oh, right. So affirming yourself, talking to yourself, telling yourself that you're, we always say, I am loved, I am beautiful, all those things. But tell yourself you're a money magnet, right? Money flows easily through me, right? Health is a part of my natural everyday life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like things like that, Nick, like really help you to bring forth the manifestation of what you want.
There you go. Yep. And repeating those words of affirmation, and then going a step further and actually believing them and becoming them. Definitely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because as you were speaking, I was thinking about the written meditations that we read too, because I actually reached behind me in my library and picked out one of them I have here, which is my 365 Tao. So I got some Taoism with Taoism wisdom. Yeah. So daily meditations. So this is one thing that I read for my spiritual help too. And there's themes for each entry. So for example, if I just open to a page, there's a meditation about youth. There's a meditation about goals, utopia, tree, garden, farmers, and how all of those ideas kind of relate to us as human beings and our spiritual journey. And I think, and how you mentioned that sometimes you kind of backslide. Sometimes it reminded me that like you said, it's ongoing. It's a continuous journey. So it never ends, and that's something that's emphasized in this book too. And of course, I also have my electronic ones too. So I have my Instagram pages that I find that post the daily meditation. So reading those is a part of my meditative routine also. So in addition to the breathing and the visualization, it's also reading these meditations to get me into the right frame of mind. So this is kind of where the spiritual crosses over into the mental and emotional, and we see how all of those kind of come together.
They're intertwined.
They're intertwined. Exactly. So I'm glad that you mentioned the words of affirmation.
Right.
Yeah. So is there anything else on this topic of spirituality that we need to touch on, that we leaving out?
Well, I will just say that everyone's journey is a little different. Your journey will look different from anyone. From your personal journey is your journey. So like for me, I have 2 dedicated altar space for my ancestors, and connecting with them and making sure that I'm communing with them and trying to receive messages and things like that. So I think that's probably it, but I think it's one of those things that people have to do what feels good to them. So a lot of stuff that I do when I do rituals, for myself, whether that's a new moon ritual, a full moon ritual, or whether it's a waxing moon ritual, or whether I'm just communing with my ancestors, I'm tarot card, whatever, right? However that looks. A lot of stuff that I am drawn to most of the time is a lot of African spirituality stuff, voodoo or voodoo, and a lot of Native American things. And most of that comes from the fact that I have roots in Mississippi. So there's lots of Native American Indian tribe, Louisiana, right? Used to be Louisiana Purchase, come on, Indian Territory, right? And the fact that for whatever reason, New Orleans specifically draws to me. It has my whole life. And so when I knew that it drew to me, I just started researching things that was like, oh, that makes sense. And so when I say rituals, people get scared and like, oh, she's a bruja, she's a witch, blah, blah, blah. I am. I'll accept that, right? But here's the thing. There is good and there is evil. You can use things for what you choose to use them for. I'm never going to use anything evil to do anything to anybody. I'm not doing anything to anybody. Most of what I'm doing is for me, right? It has nothing to do with anybody else. You're not in my immediate aura. It's mostly what I'm manifesting for myself, what I'm drawing into myself, the energies that I want to use, the energies that I want around me, the people that I want around me, attracting the right type of stuff. And so I think that's what people have to remember. Like when you are, on your spiritual journey, and you won't ever be done, right? It'll be continues to grow. So you have to just kind of understand what feels right to you, what feels good to you. I've read the Quran. I have a Quran on my altar, honestly. Read the Bible, was raised Christian, so, and still refer back to scripture sometimes, mostly because those are, I hate to say it this way, but those are spells, like they're manifestations, they're affirmations of what you're saying into yourself. Yes. There you go. Quran and the Bible. Like, I think once people realize that
all of that up in here,
Yep. Torah. Yep. What is it? What is the Tao? I can't think of what their thing is.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it either.
Buddhism, Sikhism, all that. All the Islam.
Yeah. Got that one too. Yeah.
Right. What you realize when you begin to start your journey and you start reading all these things is the commonality between all of them. You're like, they all saying the same thing. At the core, they all say the same thing. So what I tell people is spirituality does not stop you from being religious. If you want to be religious, that's totally different from your spirituality. Religion bounds you to a set of beliefs, right? Spirituality allows you to accept everything and allow energy and space to reside as it resides, right? If there was one way, if there was really only one way, would there be so many different ways? It's the same. So nothing is wrong or right or whatever. I'm not here to discredit anybody. I just tell people like that. You have to understand that religion is one thing and spirituality is something else, but they can go together, and that is okay. It's perfectly fine. Perfect example. Voodoo and Catholicism, hand in hand, okay? Literally, the same spirits are the same. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's you took the thoughts right out of my mind there. From the point that you said that spirituality is personal. That's exactly what I was going to say. And just touching off what you said about religion also religion also bounds you to a set of beliefs, but it also teaches this, I guess you could call it exceptionalism, that way is the only way, the right way. So once you transition from religion to spirituality, you start to discover that there are multiple paths to the divine, and like you said, that was another thing that I was thinking about too, that I discovered a while ago when I started learning and researching, was that, all these systems have all these commonalities when you get to the core of them. What I say is, when you examine them on the esoteric level, that's where you really start to see the similarities. Because I grew up, in church as well, so I started with what was most familiar with me, with the Bible, with Christianity, and with the Bible. So once I started getting into the esoteric, meanings of, or interpretations of the Bible, that's when I started seeing the similarities. So I'm seeing the similarities in, in the Taoism that I just showed you. I also, I see the similarities in, ancient Egyptian spirituality. That's the book of Coming Forth by Day right here. I know that the cover's kind of faded out. I see the similarities in. I'm about to grab a couple more books, and the Nation of the Gods and Earths.
Yes.
So I started seeing all the similarities.
You make me want to go to my bookshelf and start pulling the books out. I have to go across to the other side of the room, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I got mine right behind me. Got some other stuff up here that I'm probably not thinking about. But yeah, once I started really getting into the esoteric side, or esoteric interpretations of all of these practices and these scriptures, that's when I start to see the commonalities and the similarities. And I don't see it as contradictory to one another. I just see it as a part of the journey, so I'm not upset or angry about my upbringing, like some people are. Like some people, they become angry, like they become angry about growing up.
The first part is anger. Like, you might not be angry more, but you might have been a tad bit angry. Like, why ain't nobody tell me?
It was more like a wow, like an amazement type of feeling, more than an anger type of feeling for me. It was like, wow. But I understood too. I understood. Right. That's also the other reason why I wasn't really angry, because I understood that, everyone that had, well, I won't say everyone, but most people that had a stake in I guess pushing those doctrines forward, they were only using what they knew and what they had access to. Of course, there's some people in high positions that are aware of, other information, but they choose not to share it. But that's another conversation.
Oh my God, it's a movie. The movie with Denzel Washington, when he had the Bible in his head.
Oh, was the book of Eli, something like that?
Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Damn. I tell people to watch that when they start their spiritual journey, because people don't think about how movies actually transcend what we're talking about. Like it crazy when you watch something like that and you really watch it, not watch it like, ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, no.
Action. Yeah.
Absorb the information. Sometimes you got to rewind and go back, like watch it. Then you're like, okay. And after watching Book of Eli, it was one of those things where I wanted to find every lost book of the Bible. Like everything that they took out that King James said was not a part of it. There you go. There you go. And I was like, I gotta know. Why is this not right? And then when you start to put everything into context, right? And you put everything together, you're like, Oh, so technically this isn't mainstream enough. So
Right.
this doesn't really align with what he wanted to align with. So, and that's the other thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with any religion, right? It's all fine. It's just that someone decided that only this portion right here was important, right? Only this portion. Whereas I feel like all of it's important. I want to know all of it. Everything.
Yeah, me too.
Information is infinite. Okay, I can never know too much or too little, right? I want to know everything. And I think when you get to that point and you broaden your horizons, and I think a lot of people are actually waking up to it, which is so great and so amazing. So I applaud you for starting your journeys.
Yeah, that's another conversation too. That's a whole conversation. I know, that's a whole nother conversation too, because I got a whole nother set of thoughts about people, waking up, and then how it's 2020 and how so many things are coming to the forefront now, and then how some forces are trying to stop it. I have a lot of thoughts on that. So I'm not going to open up a whole nother thing right there.
We'll have to have another. We'll talk about it at a later date.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we got to talk about that. We got
as well.
yeah. We got to focus on that because I got that. I want to now. You want me now? You got me wanting to talk about Lovecraft Country. And not. Oh my goodness. So,
okay, but can we though? Just for like, can we end the show on Lovecraft Country just because the last episode was so had me in tears? Okay, let me wrap up the health is wealth part, and we gonna go into that.
Of course, this is your show, Astoria.
I know it's my show. You want. I just gotta make sure you okay with having this conversation with me because if you getting deep. So health is wealth, holistic health is wealth. So basically gave you some tips. So like, of course, the meditation, the yoga, journaling, affirmations. So speaking into yourself. Those things all lead into the spiritual part. There are also mental and physical things that you can, get into. And so what I tell people is focus on those things first. The tools that you use will enhance it. And when I say tools, that means using oils and incense, sound bowls, crystals, all of those things enhance what you're doing. But you already have the knowledge, you already have the power, you already possess it. You just have to remember how to do it. Remember that that's what you used to do, back in the day, or in your past lifetimes, those type of things. And once you connect with those spiritual energies and that spiritual side, the doors will open to what will guide you into what you need to do. And so when you get that part, you actually feel better. Mentally, physically, emotionally, everything feels better. You don't get sick. Like I don't get sick. I can't remember the last time I actually got sick. I do drink a lot of tea though. I will say that I drink a lot of tea that has echinacea. I do elderberry, like all kind of other stuff. But that we'll talk about that when we talk about like the
physical
stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps you guys on your spiritual journeys. Getting started wherever you are. If you need help, you need guidance, you can always DM me, email me, message me, things like that on @MissStory Miss_STORI. I have started posting a lot of different things, but I try to ease in everything and tell people that I'm more than a hairstylist, so that I don't scare my regular audience away, because they be like, ma'am, I didn't come to your page for that. Yeah. All right. Lovecraft Country.
Yep. All right. Go ahead. Set it off.
If you have not been watching Lovecraft Country, you need to watch it. Okay.
That's a fact.
I'll explain to you the spiritual stuff that you're going to get from it. Right. But also just the physical that you get. But this last episode, when I say had me in tears, it was an emotional roller coaster for me. And mainly because of like how it happened, right? Like, about Tulsa, right? You know about all these other cities like in Chicago, different places, different Black Wall Streets, as we're gonna call it. But I'm just gonna say African American communities that were thriving, that were literally massacred and burnt down because of evil, basically evil people, right? But to watch it happen and to realize that there are only like maybe 4 blocks, if 4 blocks left of what used to be Tulsa, Oklahoma, like of what used to be Black Wall Street, to know that there's only like this much when there used to be like this much.
Right.
And them naming the people at the end, saying, you know, can't remember the names, but they talked about who was the best Black surgeon, shot in the face, these kids that were murdered, people burning up in their houses, like just the catastrophic death. First of all, that was trauma for me. But to know that it was my people, like people that look like me every day, are just humans in general. I'm like, humans are trash. But to know that there are human beings, human people that felt so strongly enough about one thing that they would kill another human being was like crazy for me. It was way too much. Like
it was a lot.
It was a lot. I was crying, just bawling like a kid. Wow. And I don't cry.
Wow. Yeah, it's heavy. You know, it's heavy, but it's definitely worth watching, because you get so much out of it. It's so layered too. So layered. Like you get the historical aspects that Astoria was just describing. You get, you know, the spiritual aspects. It's tapping into pretty much, you know, a lot of what we just talked about between spirituality, religion, African spirituality.
We will label it as witchcraft because that's what they labeled it in the movie. Okay, so witchcraft.
In quotes, air quotes, air quotes, of course. Yeah, you know, you get the gems about that. You get the gems about, you know, the secret societies. It's, you know, Indigenous Peoples Day just passed on Monday, so you get the information about you know, indigenous people and colonization and all of that. You get some global mythologies in there too from other countries in the world. It's a really some universe. Oh futurism in there too. Yep.
Yes, because her name is Hippolyta. Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, literally. Literally Afrofuturism. There's an Afro up in there in that futurism.
Yeah. But I think the part that connected so much with the Afro, well, I won't even say that, but the futuristic part is the fact that we can right now go in between dimensions, right? And I'm taking it real high level, so I'm gonna apologize if you don't understand.
Okay.
We go in and out of interdimensions all the time. When people say they're having deja vu, that is literally you have been in and out of a dimension, whether you remember it or you don't, right? You have been on a different plane. So let's just say everything is happening on 100,000 different planes, right? And it just so happened that those planes crossed each other in that moment, right? And so it made you remember something, or you felt like you were having that moment of deja vu. And people literally do this all the time. They can go back and forth and through dimensions. So like the teleportation that happens in there, you know, if you believe in aliens, right? And people from other planets and all that kind of thing, like you get a little bit of that too. And you're like,
yes, you do. Yep.
Like, so what are they really telling me? Like, at least that's what I think. Every time I see something in a movie or in a show, I'm like, so how long has this really been going on? And when are we really going to know that it's really going on? Because it's been going on. Because somebody can just think this out the blue. Especially if you go back to the 60s and 70s and you look at it. If you watch History Channel and you watch the Alien show, That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, talking, and think about the technology that we have now and where it came from. And I, I like listening to some of the elder master teachers from 20, 30 years ago, and a lot of stuff that they were talking about in those old lectures from the early 90s, from the 80s and the early 90s. They're talking about it now. Like a few months ago, you're looking online, and these scientific outlets are talking about, they spotted, or they discover, evidence of parallel universe. And I'm like, the elders been talked about this like 40 years ago.
We talked about it. We've been telling you about it.
Yeah, and they're telling us about it. The UFOs, the Pentagon declassified the UFO documents. They've been telling us. They've been telling us for like the past.
All the extraterrestrial stuff. Alien versus Predator. How old is that movie? Come on, y'all. Like
yeah, this is crazy, but it's the great, it is the great awakening. The time that we living in has been one of the biggest and greatest of awakenings that this world has ever seen. Just based on what we know from history, we know that the time we living in now is one of the biggest awakenings that this world has experienced.
Yeah.
And since its existence.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, we don't even have to think like so far back. We can talk about what we learned in our history books about Egypt and how people are still trying to figure out how in the heck did you devise this pyramid? Like we can't even make structures like this now without, the modern technology that we have. Well, because it already existed. What happened was we forgot that we possessed these powers, right? We literally forgot that this is what was happening, that we were these amazing people, because we always just see ourselves as how we are now. And when we expand our mind and we expand our brains, and this even goes into your spirituality, and so when you expand your mind and expand your brain, right, you realize how powerful you really are. Like you realize how to attract something to yourself and how to manifest it the way you want it, right? Like, but you got to be in tune with yourself. You got to believe and be in tune with yourself, period. And if you're not, you could say, I'm manifesting all day long, but are you?
Yeah.
Are you talking about it?
Right, exactly. All right, so boom, we're going to drop a period right there.
Wait a minute, I ain't got no mic, but drop some mic.
I don't want to drop this one. I probably won't end up good if I drop this one.
This is just some oil, but this was my pretend. Like I was talking. Drop some mic.
Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah. So you go ahead and drop that one. So yeah, as always, thank you for joining us. You got Astoria's information to reach out for her if you need any assistance on navigating the spiritual journey. Of course, you can reach out to me as well. All the information will be in the description there. Down below. Yep. So make sure you follow Astoria on all of her social media, YouTube, Instagram. Make sure you follow Seven Spheres of Money, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Instagram page, follow the Facebook page, visit the website, djthemoneycoach.com. Stay tuned for the shows. I'll be live on Friday discussing the book of the month, Never Eat Alone by Keith Farazi. I just finished it this week, and it was amazing. All about building meaningful connections, with people, and not just for the purpose of what you can get out of the person and what that person can get out of you, but actually forming friendships with people, like genuine relationships with people. Why that's important, how you can do it. He actually gives you some specific tangible steps that you can take to make you into a better connector, pretty much. You know, so I'm excited about that conversation on Friday. So make sure you tune into that. So until then, we wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind, and come join us on the Beaches of the World Club. So take care of your holistic health, your spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, all of that. And
we'll see you next week. Well, we'll see you Friday, and then we'll see you next week.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, y'all.
All right.